Today we're looking at some of the creepiest things that happen on Christmas Day. I've got a feeling this video might squish the festive season, but let's look at some creepy things. And also, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe.
On the night of December 18th, 2006, a family of 5, 2 parents and 3 daughters from Augusta, Georgia would stop at a convenience store in South Carolina during a road trip. The stop was meant to be quick, and so the parents would leave their daughters in the parked car just outside the building while they went inside.
And I've got a feeling something bad happened. This is the thing with kids, it's like you can literally leave them in a locked car, but there will be creepy people out there who'll try to do stuff to them. I've got a feeling in the back of my head about what might happen, but I guess we're about to find out.
While this was taking place, John Barton, a 55-year-old man dressed as Santa Claus and driving a motorcycle with an attached sidecar, had pulled in to fill up with gas. Noticing the 3 children alone in the parked car, the man dressed as Santa would give them a hand signal to come over to him. The oldest of the girls, who was only 8 years old, would unlock the car from the inside and walk over to the man who she believed was Santa Claus.
Oh my god, yeah, again, this is like the thing with kids. It's like you can literally like leave them for a minute and stuff like that could happen. It makes you think what would happen if like he wasn't there. I mean, I don't know what happened in the end, but I'm assuming it wasn't something good.
John Barton explained to the girls how he wanted to show them his stuffed reindeer in his attached sidecar, then convinced the oldest girl to get inside, where he would then drive off back onto the highway.
So did he take one of the girls or 2 of the girls? I mean, this is how abduction happens. It's why you should always tell kids never go near a stranger's car. You know, he literally enticed them to come over being like, guys, look, I've got stuff in the back seat, get in. And then obviously now that one of them's got in, he's kidnapped them.
Upon seeing the girls standing in the parking lot, their father, Trip Morris, would run to his car and chase the motorcycle. Meanwhile, the mother would stay back with the 2 remaining daughters and call the police.
Okay, so the dad is chasing the man and the mum is with the kids. I mean, imagine the adrenaline going through the dad's veins. Like, that would be terrifying. A random creepy old man dressed as Santa's literally just kidnapped your daughter.
Pursuit of the father and the man dressed as Santa would last multiple minutes. At times, the 2 would reach speeds of 80 miles per hour. All the while, the father would repeatedly flash his headlights.
I mean, at that point, you basically have to try and run your car into his vehicle, but then there's also like the child in the vehicle. I could not imagine being in a situation like that. Like, that's probably one of the most stressful situations you could ever go through. It's bad enough having your child kidnapped, but imagine if they literally get kidnapped and then go missing. It's something straight out of a horror film.
After some time, John Barton would seemingly give up and pull into a church parking lot. Trip Morris was able to confront him and recover his uninjured daughter.
Okay, well, it's good he got the daughter in the end, but honestly, if I were him, I'd smack that man. It's quite obvious what the man had in the back of his mind. Like, we all knew his intentions. I'm just happy he got the daughter back because there's a possibility he might never have got her back. And yet again, it's the fact that the man was dressed as Santa. Usually whenever you think of Santa, you think of something really happy and festive. However, in this case, it was the opposite.
John Barton would flee the scene and later be found by police hiding in a utility room at a nearby bar, still dressed as Santa Claus. John Barton would then be arrested, and he would later be charged with kidnapping.
So this happened in 2006. How many years ago was that? Nearly 20 years. I mean, imagine the trauma that child's going through. She was 8, so I'm pretty sure she'll remember it. I'm trying to imagine what she would feel, you know, being in a seat and looking over at a random man who's basically kidnapped you. I mean, thank God the dad got to her in the end, because there's a high possibility that she might never have came home.
In 2011, a Redditor would upload this disturbing occurrence he experienced as a child. The day was December 23rd, 1985. The original poster and his parents were staying with his grandmother in the San Francisco Bay Area for Christmas, and being that it was only 2 days from Christmas Day, the family suggested going to the nearest mall, Sun Valley, to get Christmas pictures with the mall Santa.
Every child done that growing up. Like, I done that loads of times whenever I was younger. And back then, you know, it was such an innocent thing. Like, you got really excited for Christmas. However, the thing is with these videos, it's always got a creepy thing. Like, it's always really creepy and disturbing.
Come around 7:30 of that night, and the family was set to leave. However, just before they would leave the house, grandmother would claim to have gotten an overwhelming feeling of dread. She didn't want to go, and this caused the whole family to reluctantly come to the decision that they would just stay home.
I literally heard noise behind me. Like, this always happens in these videos. Honestly, it would surprise me if someone jumps out of there. Oh my god, that freaked me out. Like, I heard my house creak. It's always whenever I'm doing the creepy videos, these things start to happen.
Later that night, at 8:35 p.m., an inbound plane headed for the nearby airport Buchanan Field would miss its target due to weather and strike the Sun Valley Mall. The plane shot clean through the Macy's department store, bursting into flames and leaving a 50-foot long hole in the roof.
Oh my god, wow, that is like awful. So basically, because of bad weather, a plane missed the airport and went through a shopping mall. I mean, yeah, that's actually quite good that you maybe didn't go. Maybe that was like the universe's way of telling you not to go to protect your family. I was thinking that Santa was going to do something really creepy, or like Santa was like hiding in a bush. But nah, a plane literally went for that shopping center.
Wreckage and debris were scattered all across the rooftop and into the mall below, a mall that contained thousands of last-minute Christmas shoppers, as well as children and their parents waiting in line to see the mall's Santa, same line that the Redditor and his family family had planned to be in. Time of the crash, no one knew exactly what had just happened. Some thought an explosive was detonated, others thought it was an earthquake. The scene was one of absolute chaos.
I mean, yeah, of course, like a plane's literally crash landed in a mall. Yet again, it's crazy to think that if they did go down, like if the granny didn't get that weird feeling, then they'd all probably be dead. I've noticed that a lot. Like sometimes the universe really does speak to you. If there's ever been like a bomb go off somewhere, you know, like a really awful shooting, there will probably be people who were meant to be in that location but decided not to go or were running a few minutes late. Think of it, if they were running on time, they could have got caught up in it and like lost their lives. I mean, life is precious. You only really get one life, so you better make the best of it.
The building was filled with smoke and soot. Those who weren't injured were desperately using the water from the mall's fountain, ice from refrigerators to treat burns of the injured. Unfortunately, the 3 aboard the plane were instantly killed upon impact. On the ground, a total of 79 people would be injured, and sadly 4 would lose their lives.
Oh my god, that really is awful. So 4 people lost their lives and 79 were injured. I mean, if I'm ever caught up in an incident like that, me personally, I think I'd much rather maybe not be here. I'd much rather, you know, maybe perish. Just think of it, if you get really injured, like the trauma, you get flashbacks. That is what I'm terrified of. I'm really terrified of getting in like a situation like that, or like a really bad incident and getting like flashbacks for the rest of my life. You know, at that point, I would much rather be lights out because I don't want to deal with the trauma.
On the morning of December 23rd, 1974, the Seminary South Shopping Center in Fort Worth, Texas, 2 girls had plans to go Christmas shopping. The first, Rachel Trelisa, age 17. The second, Renee Wilson, age 14.
Oh, look at them beautiful little girls, and I bet you something really bad happened to them. 1974, how many years ago was that? Nearly 50 years. I always forget that, you know, people have been alive before me. There's been catastrophes from like 50 years ago whenever I wasn't born. Like some of the people who are caught up in them incidents might also still be alive now. It's quite crazy, isn't it?
9-year-old Julianne Mosley would ask to tag along, which the older girls would allow. The 3 would end up leaving a little before noon. Their plan was to be back home by 4 p.m. at the latest. However, 4 p.m. came and went, and there was no sign of them. It wasn't until around 6 p.m. that the families of the girls started getting concerned.
Imagine the feeling they're feeling like that, genuine stuff that I'm really scared of. If my mum's out, or like my friends are out, and like they're a minute late, I automatically think something bad's happened to them. There has been a few times where like my friends have like went in a night out and they've never texted me until like later the next day. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, why would you do that? Like get in your phone, text me you're okay. Because I'd been worrying all night and all day that something bad happened to them, and then it turns out they were fine.
It was around this time that the parents decided to head to the shopping mall themselves. They would find the girls' car parked in an upper level parking lot filled with recently purchased Christmas gifts, but the girls themselves were nowhere to be found.
And at that point, you knew something's up. You know, you found the car with all the gifts and like the groceries, but they're not there. I'm sorry, I thought I seen something behind me. Ever since I heard that creak, I've been getting freaked out. But it makes you think, it's like, what has happened? Are they missing? Are they just, you know, going out in a little dally, you know, having a bit of fun? Or something sinister happened?
Immediately upon the discovery, the parents would call the police and file 3 missing person reports. The police originally believed the girls ran away. Exactly 1 day after their disappearance, Rachel's family would receive a letter that read, "I know I'm going to catch it, but we just had to get away. We're going to Houston. See you in about a week. The car is in the Sears upper lot. Love, Rachel."
Okay, so this is apparently a note or a letter written by Rachel to her parents. Has she written it though? I've watched other scary videos where, you know, someone's went missing, but like the family members have got a text from them, and it turns out it wasn't actually them who wrote the text.
However, the families of the girls were not convinced. For one, families all claimed that none of the girls had shown any signs of wanting to run away leading up to the disappearance. And 2, the letter supposedly written by Rachel had originally misspelled the word Rachel. It was first written with an E, but then written over with an L, the correct way to spell it.
Well, then that's obviously not her, and yet again, I'm getting freaked out. I always do these videos either late at night or home alone. It's currently 12 p.m, but I'm home alone, and I'm hearing creaks. Like, I just think someone stood downstairs. I don't know why, I'm getting a weird feeling.
Rachel's family finds it highly unlikely that Rachel would misspell her own name. Ever since that day, December 23rd, 1974, none of the 3 girls have been found. The letter that showed up the next day on Christmas Eve is the last piece of evidence ever discovered. Therefore, it's unclear what happened to the 3 girls.
So the 3 girls completely disappeared? Well, I mean, it turns out they weren't going to that place for a week after all. I mean, I think we all know what's happened. Something really, really bad has happened. It does make you think, though. It's like whenever people go missing, it's like someone out there knows, either the girls or someone else. And that's what I don't like about it. It's like someone sat at home, or they've like done something bad, or maybe the girls are sat at home and they know what they've done, but they're not coming forward. I mean, the girls were 17, 14, and 9. They were never found, and I think there's a reason for that.
In the early morning of December 9, 2009, a 12-year-old kid in Parma, Ohio had been making her way to school. The route was one she walked every morning without incident. However, this morning in particular would be different. As she was walking up to an intersection, a man dressed in a pretty convincing Santa Claus costume would reveal himself from a set of nearby bushes.
Well, that's just freaking. Yet again, I'm getting freaked out. Why would you do that? It's just not funny. Why would you do that? I mean, this is a 12-year-old girl. Like, even to do this to anyone, it's freaky.
The man's costume was complete with boots, a belt, a hat, a white beard, and of course the red suit itself. Anne would attempt to lure the kid towards him, but startled by the man, she would avoid him, and without saying anything, continued walking right past him.
He's probably gonna follow her as well. That's the freaky thing. It's like, what is that person doing? This is obviously some sort of sick joke to them. Oh yeah, I'm gonna dress up as Santa and hide in the bush and jump out at people. I'm not taking the mickey. These people need to get shot and put into jail.
This would cause the man to step out of the bushes and follow the girl.
Ew.
The man would then attempt to grab the girl on multiple occasions, but after much resistance, he was unsuccessful.
So obviously he did have a motive. He wanted probably to kidnap her. Yet again, it's fact he's went out of his way to dress up as Santa Claus. Santa Claus. Santa's meant to be something really, you know, nice and innocent and like something that every child should love. But there's people like this who are ruining it.
The girl would then enter a nearby store, explain to the owner what had just taken place. The police would immediately be called. The man dressed as Santa, later identified to be a man named Anthony Russo.
Oh my god, ew. Oh no, I just got shivers. Oh god, no, I don't like it.
Would be found and arrested carrying a sack and a large box of candy canes. Anthony, along with his suit, would be taken directly to the Parma Police Department.
Oh, I can't even look at that. Like, I'm actually having to scroll down. It's just so freaky, isn't it? I mean, it's just, awful. Absolutely awful. I mean, it's quite obvious what the intention was. You know, candy canes, dress up as Santa, hiding in the bush. I just don't like it. I don't like it.
Patty Vaughn was a 32-year-old from San Antonio, Texas. She was a wife to a man named Jerry Vaughn and had 3 children. Relatively speaking, her life was pretty average. However, this would all change on Christmas Day of 1996. On this day, Patty would randomly disappear out of nowhere, leaving behind her whole family.
Christmas Day is meant to be like the most festive day of the year. You know, you're meant to open your presents, eat loads of food, be with your family. But sadly, something has obviously happened to this woman. And a lot of the times, it's usually a family member that's involved as well.
But by looking into the case further, the disappearance starts to look less and less random. In the months leading up to her disappearance, Patty and Jerry Vaughn would begin a 6-month trial separation as their marriage was beginning to fall apart.
Okay, so her and her husband's marriage is starting to fall apart. Not really good. It's heartbreaking to go through. But they went in a trial period. Is that like a trial period of them, you know, not being together, you know, maybe being single or, you know, not doing stuff together? Obviously, their marriage ain't good if they're going in a trial.
During this time, Jerry would move into his own apartment nearby. Despite this, two would decide to spend Christmas Day together with their 3 kids. However, Jerry would later state that by 6:30 p.m. that night, the two would break out in a huge argument. And this would later be confirmed, as one of Patty's sisters who lived out of state would call her to wish her Merry Christmas, but be met with a crying and distraught Patty.
Oh god, that's not good. Imagine calling somebody and then they're distraught and, you know, in tears. He's claiming that they had a big argument, but is that really the case? Like, is she really crying because of that?
Following the argument, Jerry would report Patty to have stormed out of the house and into her minivan, which she would drive off in. This would be the last time Patty Vaughn would ever be seen again.
So that's his account. Keep in mind, that's what he says happened. She obviously isn't here to tell us her side of the story. So he said basically, you know, their relationship was falling apart, they had a big argument, and then she stormed out. But as per usual, these videos usually have a sinister side, so let's hear what actually happened.
The next day, on December 26th, after not being able to reach her, one of Patty's cousins filed a missing person report with the local sheriff's office, and on that same day, Patty's minivan would be found abandoned on the side of the highway with a flat tire.
Oh, that's weird. Oh no, imagine finding an abandoned, like, car. I mean, whenever I'm out and about and I see a car that looks like it's been abandoned, I always think in the back of my head, why is it there? Have you ever been driving somewhere that's kind of like secluded and you see like a random car at the side of the road? I mean, I wouldn't even stop because I'd be thinking it's a trafficker person, you know, trying to like kidnap me. They're trying to lure you in by pretending there's like someone in the car. It's creepy.
Disturbingly, inside the van were small traces of blood. This blood would later be confirmed to belong to Patty. The carpets inside the van had been heavily cleaned with shampoo. Patty, along with her keys and purse, would never be recovered in the investigation.
So they found blood in the car and it's been shampooed, but she hasn't been found. So obviously something happened there because, you know, there was blood, and I think it's got to do with the husband.
The number one suspect in the case was of course Patty's husband, Jerry.
Of course.
Although Jerry would profusely state that he had nothing to do with the disappearance, and not enough evidence was ever found to say otherwise.
I'm pretty sure this was quite a few years ago, so maybe like the DNA and evidence wasn't as strong. But I mean, if they like retrialed him, I'm sure they'd be able to find something against him. It's just fishy, isn't it? It's like they have a big argument, she then storms out, but then, you know, blood's found in her abandoned car. I mean, did he ever give them DNA? Maybe his blood was also in the car.
As of yet, no one has been charged with the disappearance, and it's still unclear what exactly happened to Patty Vaughn, or where she is now.
We probably all know what actually happened, and it's got to do with the husband. And yet again, the perpetrators of these crimes will never face justice because the justice system is flawed. This person said the husband is still the #1 suspect. He didn't even bother filing a missing report or join the search party. It's believed he had help by his sister that lived in the basement of the house. Hope there's justice for Patty one day. Her children weren't ever allowed to communicate with Patty's family either. Who knows what these poor kids went through? So they're literally not allowed to talk to their mother's family. I mean, this is making a lot of sense to me, and all the fingers are currently pointed towards the dad and his sister. Well guys, that's where I'm gonna leave that video there. That is some creepy things happening Christmas Day. I hope this video doesn't dampen your Christmas spirit, but you know, we gotta throw a wee bit of creepiness in. If you want to see me do some more creepy Christmas videos, let me know, I definitely will. Press the big red subscribe button and just to see all in my next video.